Welcome to the COVID classroom. I'm Dr. Cordella Forey. Today we're answering a question that often gets asked by people who had the Astra Zeneca vaccine for their first 2 doses, their primary course of their COVID-19 vaccination. So if you're like me, or like a lot of the population over a certain age, the most likely vaccine that you would have had for your first 2 doses would have been AstraZeneca. But as you know, for the booster, there are 2 vaccines on the whole that are being offered. One of them is Pfizer and one of them is Moderna. And on the whole, most people won't be offered AstraZeneca for their booster. The first thing to say is that the studies have shown that this is completely safe, so you don't need to be concerned about having a different vaccine for your booster than you did for your first 2 doses. And actually, even more than being safe, it's actually really effective. So I'm just going to use my props again to explain a little bit about why Pfizer and Moderna are actually really effective as boosters, even more so than AstraZeneca would be. So we've talked before about how vaccines work and what SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, is like. So here's my model COVID-19 or virus with its spike proteins all around it. Now, what happens when your body kind of launches an attack on the virus, that immune response, is the thing that we all have heard about would have been something called antibodies. So I'm using this as my model antibody here. So once you've had a vaccine and your body has produced antibodies that are specific for COVID-19, whenever the virus comes along and you're exposed to it, these antibodies will launch an attack on the virus and they neutralize it and will either then stop you from getting symptoms and getting an infection in the first place, or they will stop you from getting it really severely, ending up in hospital and preventing you from dying, even if you do get some infection with the illness. So that's kind of the first type of immune response, if you like, with those antibodies. And what the studies have shown is that as a booster, AstraZeneca and Pfizer and Moderna, regardless of what vaccine you had for your first and second doses, all do a really good job of boosting your antibody response as a booster. The second type of immune response, or attack your body launches on a virus when you're exposed to it, is one that might be less well known amongst people that aren't health professionals or scientists or people that kind of studied immunology and things. And that's called a cell-mediated response. So that's about immune cells, also known as T cells, which are also special cells that can develop a specific immune response against your SARS-CoV-2 virus. So again, what happens is the first time you have your vaccine, you're going to generate your immunity, your immune response. And these cells, as well as being a really good, strong part of your immune response, they also have what's called memory, which means they can help that your body have that immune response for even longer, because they're good at remembering, to put very simply, what that virus is like. So what happens is, just like with the antibodies, when your body's exposed to the virus, then you've got these T cells then, which will neutralize the virus. And the other special thing about these T cells is, unlike antibodies, which can only sort of neutralize the virus when it's generally within your body, if the virus has actually managed to get inside your cells, T cells can still neutralize it when the virus is inside the cells as well. So they're even cleverer, if you like, from that perspective. The important thing about this in terms of boosters is that Pfizer and Moderna boost that T cell response as well, regardless of which vaccine people had as their first dose and second dose. So whether it was AstraZeneca or Pfizer or Moderna you had the first time, both Pfizer and Moderna will boost that T cell response. But AstraZeneca doesn't do a good job of boosting the T cell response. It only boosts the antibody response. And so as a result of that, you've almost got a kind of double effect with Pfizer and Moderna, which makes that level of protection even stronger in nature. So that's why those two are the preferred option as opposed to AstraZeneca. But if somebody had any kind of reaction to Pfizer or Moderna the first time round, then they would be able to have a conversation with their clinician, their GP, and then get offered AstraZeneca as a booster instead if they needed to.